This is a 10th grade biology class. You guys have had a homework assignment on a reading on Gregor Mendel and his key experiment. This is also a pre-writing strategy, as you guys are going to do a journal entry later. So kind of hitting both there. So class, we just finished our 10-minute presentation on Gregor Mendel and his key experiment. We learned a little bit about inheritance. And now we're going to do some clustering. So do you guys remember this? We did it once before. I wrote it on the board. You guys kind of helped me out. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do the first half for you, and then I'm going to give you the second half of the terms to do on your own. So as I'm writing up here, please copy along so that way when we get to the second half, you guys are ready to go, all right? So the first word that we're going to do is chromosome. Now, if you'll remember, a chromosome is sort of a huge, long strand of DNA that's condensed, right? So it's just this huge thing of DNA. Our next word is going to be gene. I'm going to put it here. Now, a gene, sort of the way I think of it, makes up chromosomes. So I like to add arrows. You guys are welcome to do that, or you cannot. But please make sure to add the connecting words. So right now we have genes make up chromosomes, right? Our next word is going to be allele. So if a gene is something like hair color, an allele is going to be a specific version of that. So an allele is something that goes for brown hair, or blonde hair, or red hair, whereas a gene is just the hair color. There's a very distinct difference there. All right, now this is going to be our last word, and it's genotype. Can anybody tell me what a genotype is? Amy.
Is it like the genes, like in pairs that they make up, like for the traits?
Right, exactly. It's just like that. So a genotype is usually shown with different letters, and it shows which alleles are present. So the way I like to think of it is that genotypes show which alleles are present. So let's do a quick review of what we have on the board, and then I'll introduce the next terms and set you free. So we have genotypes show which alleles are present. Alleles are a specific version of a gene, and genes make up a chromosome. All right? So now let's give you guys the rest of the terms. I guess I'll write it over here so everybody can see. And the first term that we have is phenotype. Can anybody tell me what that is?
What it looks like.
Exactly. Right, it's what it looks like. So you're going to have different alleles, and not all of them are going to show up. So the phenotype is the one that shows up. Our next word is heterozygous. Does anybody know what the beginning of this word means, the heter?
Same.
Different. Right, it means different. That's good. I'm glad that you guys corrected yourself there. So heter means different. It's literally saying that there's different alleles that are present. Okay? That's how you can think of it. Heter means different, therefore you have different alleles. The word that pairs with that, which you guys were kind of hitting on, is homozygous. Does anybody know what the beginning of that word means? Same. Exactly. So this is showing that the same alleles are there. Okay? And the last word that you get, two more. The next word is dominant. Does anybody know what that means? It's a pretty common word, even out of science.
It's like
Winner? Yeah, most powerful, stronger maybe. So the dominant allele is usually the one that's going to show up. And as you saw with our previous presentation, dominant alleles are usually shown with a capital letter, like a capital A. And usually when you have a dominant allele, it's going to be the one that shows up in the phenotype, right? Our last word I'll write over here because I'm not sure you guys can see it, is recessive. Whoop. Does anybody know what recessive is? Right, it's the exact opposite of dominant, and usually it's shown with a lowercase letter, like a little a. So now if we go back to these two terms, heterozygous, that's going to look like this if we're using the letter representation, right? Big A, little a. Can anybody tell me what a homozygous would look like?
2 little A's.
Exactly. 2 little a's. Or 2 big A's. Very good. All right, so those are your terms. please get into groups of 3 or 4 and start working on this. Remember, there's no wrong way to do this. If you see a connection, go ahead and write on. You can draw pictures if you want. You can use words. If you want to draw arrows, go for it. But try and add these connecting words in between the terms, all right?
On our paper.
Yes, on your paper.
I know.
Okay. I mean everything backwards. Backwards today for me.
Oh, and if you guys have any questions, raise your hand, and I can further define the terms for you.
These connecting words are pretty important.
They are. That's probably what we should discuss mostly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Does everybody agree with that?
So,
What do you think, Lorraine?
well, I think we could have a couple arrows off of genotype to say heterozygous and homozygous.
Right.
So
I think maybe
kinds
in
of
between
genotype.
you could have had like dominant.
Oh, we
Like-
would put dominant.
Dominant.
Would
The
that
dominant
also count
genotype determines the phenotype, right?
Although the dominant might be the allele, isn't it? And the genotype would be heterozygous or homozygous. You could do it different ways.
Why don't we try it? We could add it. Could we do it in a couple of ways?
Of course you can, or you can add multiple lines to it if you want.
yeah.
So really there's no wrong answer, you guys can add it wherever you want.
So let's do your idea and you can do your idea too.
I like his idea too.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about adding homozygous and heterozygous.
So pointing towards it.
Yeah.
So homozygous and heterozygous.
Wait, I did this. I didn't even do this right.
And we could say that represents, what's the connecting word?
Well, here we had allele was a specific version of a gene. This is a specific kind of genotype, one kind of genotype, right?
Right.
Homozygous,
Represents.
About 3 minutes.
homozygous represents a kind of.
Represents the genotype.
Sure.
Okay.
It actually is an example of it,
Okay.
but represents it.
How about let's do it this way, examples that represent.
Okay.
How about that? Across the traits. I wrote across them. Maybe that's not the best, but.
You can do that, can you, or not? Do these have to have numbers?
You said there's not any wrong.
Why should you care? Because not
It's not a dominant.
okay.
Whereas dominant,
What percentage do you
I
have?
feel like alpha is dominant.
You're like me. You get it first. Right.
You have never answered why does emphasis work?
Heterozygous for a lot of reasons.
Well, dominant is an allele, it's not actually. But you can say, it is a genotype, the genotype consists of like a dominant and a recessive, or a dominant and a dominant recessive and a recessive. What they mean, so they are going to be a genotype, what are our words?
It's really hard.
They get complicated very quickly.
I think especially at the start you have to create one, and then just take out all the words and leave the connecting
That's
words.
a good idea.
Or
That's a good idea. Or scaffold it so that you can do that once and then the next time take out some of the connecting words.
What do you think, what do you guys think about?
Alex, 1 minute.
I'll explain this to you later. Alright, are you done? Alright, class, can I get your attention? Thank you. Greg here has kindly agreed to share his map with us.
You want me to explain it too?
Yes, please.
So I wrote phenotype in an umbrella with genotype. Phenotype, my understanding, is kind of what you show, or your genotype is what you have. And I kind of made that concept into an umbrella. Underneath you have your dominant. If you have 2 dominant or 2 recessive, you're homozygous. But if you have one and the other, you're heterozygous. That makes sense.
I like it. I think he did a great job. Let's all give him a round of applause.